two traits when I look at this Oregon team that really stand out to me as two keys, two traits, two strengths going forward as we approach the 2025 season, and that being depth and versatility. The deeper that you are as a football team, the more versatile that you can be as a football team. I'm from the state of Minnesota. I'm living in the state of Minnesota. I'll use some hockey terminology. There's a lot of positions. There's a lot of position groups. There's a lot of position rooms on this Oregon team that can roll 2 lines deep, that can roll 3 lines deep, right? When you get to your backups, you feel good. At some positions, even when you get to your third guy, you still feel pretty good that there won't be a significant drop-off when they go on the football field. There are a lot more deeper position groups on this Oregon team than there are thinner position groups. Like when I really look around and I maybe have questions about the depth, like linebacker and offensive line are really the only ones that I bring up. Like even a position like quarterback. You have a guy like Dante Moore. I've said about Austin Novosad. He can start for over 100 college football programs, but he's chosen to stay at Oregon. Recently listened to a podcast of him on Ducks of a Feather. I'm not sure if he's going anywhere anytime soon. You look at a position group like running back, a 3-headed monster like maybe Oregon hasn't had before with Mekhi Hughes, Noah Winnington, Dink Riggs. You've got great true freshmen, Jade Lamar, Jay Harris. Like that room is stacked. They have a stacked running back room. We've talked about how deep the secondary is with young players. Wide receiver and the battle that certainly goes on at that. And I've said in a previous edition, the highest viewed edition of TSOW, I've talked about how the defensive line is the deepest position group on this football team in 2025. And boy, if there is a position group that you would love to have depth at, it indeed is the defensive line, certainly as well. And why does this exist for Oregon? It exists because they have stacked top 5 class upon top 5 class upon top 5 class. And when guys come into Oregon, a lot of times they don't want to leave Oregon. Recently, defensive backs coach Chris Hampton and head coach Dan Lanning really talked about the versatility and how it's going to play into 2025 and how they like different guys being able to play a lot of different positions.
We talk about position versatility. With this group that we've got this year, I think it's more important than ever of guys knowing how to play multiple spots. Like Jaden's a guy that's played star. He's played safety, he played corner all last season, depending on the game for Ole Miss. Obviously, Dalen has done it. Solo has done it. Jaleel Florence is back moving around for us. He can do it for us. Tamon Davis. We've had a bunch of guys. Zach Grisham is doing it. And then we're going to get, some of our safeties learning as well. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're just rotating guys. In the spring, fall camp, we do a green, yellow. There's no depth chart. It's just all about PG, personal growth. And guys learning how to play multiple positions, and we want them to understand the scheme. So I may move them, and I may challenge them. One day you're at corner, tomorrow you're a star. Okay, this rep you're a star. Hey, in 4 plays you're going to safety, and I expect you to know it because it may happen like that in the game.
Yeah, you got to be able to do it all, right? And that's one of Mateo's strengths is that he can do it all, right? There's 32 teams in the NFL. I want all 32 to want Mateo, right? And that's because he has position versatility. It doesn't matter if they're a 3-4 or 4 down front. He's a guy that can play a 6, a 4-eye. He's a guy that can line up and stand in space. And the same with Tatum. He's another guy with great experience. Same with Blake Purchase. Had a great spring so far. Seeing great growth from Elijah as well. And even young guys, Nas standing out. So the more that you can do for your team, the more valuable you are for our team. And those guys are guys that can do both.
Especially on the defensive side of the football. This is a team that, and you just heard it from those 2 coaches, and you've seen the examples of it on the field. This is a team that preaches versatility, that loves the utility player. They have so many different alignments that we've seen on the defensive side of the football. Like I've talked recently about the most underrated players for Oregon, and I think Tatum Tuioti is certainly that guy. Tatum certainly recently, I should say, had a press conference, and he talked about maybe the extra muscle that he's been able to put on. If he can retain that quickness, he could be an even bigger weapon. You gotta love what you heard from that specific soundbite from Dan Lanning about the edge room. Okay, we know that Mateo can play a lot of different techniques, and Dan certainly laid that out there as well. But he talked about Blake Purchase. He talked about Tatum Tuioti. He talked about the growth of Elijah Rushing. Okay, being able to rotate in a lot of these guys is gonna, like, I hear that, and I'm very optimistic about what this pass rush could certainly be this upcoming season, and defensive line, like Bear Alexander to Aiden Breland to Terrence Green to Teon Gray to Amari Washington. Like, there's so much depth in that room, and there's so much that can really come out of that room certainly as well. Like, when it comes to versatility and when it comes to the pass rush, I would love to see at some point during this season, I would love to see a NASCAR package of sorts. You line up 4 guys in the defensive line on like a big 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, a clear passing situation. You can have Amari certainly, over the center or over the guard or something like that. But you got Mateo, you've got Tatum, and you've got like Blake Purchase all on the line of scrimmage. So you get that speed in a clear pass rush situation and you overload the offensive line. That's kind of what we're talking about with versatility. And we've seen that from Tosh Lapoy, certainly in this defense. You saw the bite there from Chris Hampton. And this is this is spring and even the early parts of fall camp. There's no depth chart. It's just, hey, let's throw guys out there into different situations. And the secondary is one. When you pull up a roster, or when you pull up any kind of online depth chart and you look at all of those defensive backs and you look at all of the talent, versatility is going to be the absolute name of the game for that secondary group. I could see a ton of these players. Like, you continue to go down the list and I'm like, would like to see that guy out there. Got to see that guy out there. Like, do I really foresee this guy only playing in 2 or 3 games this year? I don't know. Like, I look at the secondary right now, and it is going to be tough to keep a lot of guys off the football field. You know, we all talk about Decorian Moore as being the fabulous true freshman, being in the mold of like a Jeremiah Smith and a Ryan Williams in terms of production. And that certainly gets all the limelight. Offense is sexy. I totally get it. I think that there's a guy on defense that is also a true freshman. Going to be really hard to keep him off the field. Going to be really hard to keep Naeem Offord off the field. I believe that. I truly, truly believe that. You look at Jaleel Florence, like a track star like Rod Pleasant. You look at Aaron Flowers, like you kind of keep on going down the line, and whether it's been Tosh or whether it's been Coach Hampton, they talk about these guys that are coming in, like they have the size, they have the length, they have the speed, they have those traits that Oregon is looking for. No more 5'10" defensive backs. No more short defensive backs that can't cover in certain situations, that don't have the length to deal with bigger and longer receivers, certainly on the outside. When you talk about the different combinations, I think we could see a ton of different combinations. Like, I feel pretty strong that we're going to see Ife Obadegwu at certainly one of the corners, but let's say the other corner is Theron Johnson. You've still got a guy in Jaleel Florence that's still a really good player. Why can't you slide Jaleel, and I'm sure they're doing this by rotating during spring practice, why can't you slide Jaleel to the nickel spot? Okay, Dalen Austin we know is there. Jaden Kennedy has played that certainly at Ole Miss as well. Like, I think in the secondary, you're going to slide a lot of guys into a lot of different places. Like, you look at safety. You've got Kingston Lopa, who played a role certainly during the Big Ten championship game. Peyton Woodyard. You look at Flowers. Like, there's so many guys that I think you could see in so many spots. Maybe some of those safeties could play some reps over there at nickel. As I said before, some of these nickels could go over to corner. I think you're going to see a lot of rotation. And I think the hope is that these guys that are versatile in the secondary, you start to see that depth of talent certainly towards the end of the year. Depth and versatility, the Ducks have a lot of it.